involved with two sons that have autism, and the impact and things it did in his life. And we're going to be talking to two great people today, people that are very involved in autism, and that is Jim Sharp. Jim, kind of wave your hand so the audience can see you. Okay, very good. And then Jarod Duncan. Jarod,
hey guys.
The other person there. And we appreciate you guys. And so what we're going to be talking about today is all kinds of things about autism. And you guys have a Autism Outreach Fellowship, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
and let's just start right there. What is that, and how did you get involved? And we're just going to kind of talk for a while, and I think it'll be very educational for our audience.
Well, okay, so let's start from the beginning. That's always a good place to start. How this all came about was Dalton, my son, was diagnosed with autism at 2. We ended up moving back to Missouri. We're from California. He grew up in California, moved to Missouri, and went to a special school. And in that school, Jarod here was still in high school and had met Dalton and profoundly changed Jarod's life and his education and what he wanted to do. And he'll go into further about that. But their relationship started at a very early age, and we dealt with a lot of problems that everyone goes through dealing with autism. Some are more severe than others, and things have changed in the last 20 years. A lot has changed in how we do things and the knowledge that we have of it. And I had always felt like I'm sure people have heard the spectrum of autism. Mm-hmm. Well, on that spectrum is so wide that I always felt like Dalton wasn't getting the things that he needed because of how severe his autism was. He was nonverbal, self-injurious behaviors, a lot of behavioral issues and underlying problems along with that. Once that got diagnosed, that how severe it was, that was the key on getting the things that he needed. So we felt like my parents, my family got involved, and they started this organization called the Autism Outreach Fellowship, where we helped other families, mostly with social events, getting out and being part of the community. And we felt like that was very important. We couldn't even go to baseball games. We couldn't do a lot of things. Well, once we got that established, and this is where Jim and Pam came involved, and they were part of the Autism Outreach Fellowship too. We did certain outings, and then we started this show called Growing Out of Autism. They asked me to start this name. What would you like to name it? Well, guys at work would ask me, is your son going to grow out of it? So I thought Growing Out of Autism would be a good name. And the answer is no, they don't grow out of it, but we grow with it. So, and when Jarod came on board was when he met Dalton, and he went and he called me one day and said, "Hey, Dalton changed my life. I'm going to do this. With my life." And so he went to school for it. He ended up getting his master's degree. And I think you called me. You went to Johns Hopkins?
Yeah. Oh, Kennedy Krieger Institute for just some of my graduate work and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah. So it changed his life. And so we became very close. It was Dalton's best friend. So that's where we're at. And now that Dalton is out of school, we did all these programs while they were in school. Now he's out of school, and he's, still nonverbal. He doesn't grow out of it. But what is there for him? And so Jarod has this wonderful idea that I really want people to hear, and I'm going to hand it over to him now.
Yeah, so again, my name is Jarod Duncan. I am a board certified behavior analyst. And so I started, like you said, in a private school, working one-to-one with children diagnosed with autism. And like you said, it rapidly changed my life. I immediately knew that this is something that I'm going to do. Like, I feel like God gave me some gifts, gifts of patience, gifts of perseverance, gifts of grit. And I feel like I use all those in combination to kind of support, students with autism. And so what I was finding was that when I was working at the private sector, it's great. The kids are getting what they needed. But when they reach 21 or the age of 21, there's very little resources out in the community or the public for individuals with autism. And so a lot of our research rests on early intervention. And so that's great. That's awesome. That's where a lot of our resources are thrown at because we have the data to support it. But very few people are doing research on what the adults with autism can produce and do with life. And so that's something that I've just noticed growing up with Dalton. Like, I said, I met him when I was 18. I'm 38 now. So, 20, so many years later, we're trying to figure out like what's the next step for all these individuals with autism. And so I feel like it's kind of I feel like I'm taking it upon myself to kind of like, again, grow with the population. And so I've come up with this, company. It's called IC Love, and it stands for Individualized Community Living and Vocational Education. Because if there is 3 domains of development that we could help any individual with autism kind of gain access to, it would be leisure skills, helping them just navigate an enriched lifestyle that they prefer. Like, if they like to go swimming, let's make sure that they're in a swimming club. If they like to go to the movies, let's make sure they're in a movie club or something like that they can go with peers out and get into the community and be involved. The second thing would be, life skills. So a lot of these individuals are still working on some fundamental life skills that they need to achieve independence, toileting, showering, getting dressed, making, like snacks and meals independently so they don't require somebody else's assistance. You know what I mean?
Right. And they may seem like since they're nonverbal, that they're not connected, but what we're seeing is when they do these community outings and when we get them involved, what a difference.
Oh, yeah.
You can really see they engage and the behaviors go away. They don't completely disappear, but 90% of it goes away. And there's a purpose. It finds a purpose in their life and in yours by helping them.
Yeah, and then so that last area is just the vocational skills. And I think that's the most exciting one that I've kind of run into. So just trying to show society that there are goods that we can produce, and that there are sellable goods. And so, for instance, like, one of my friends helped me pour this candle right here. And so, you know what I mean? Like, I know that there are plenty of places to buy candles, like at Walmart and Bed Bath & Beyond, but, they're machine poured and, very few humans touch them. But yet people are willing to spend $45 on a candle, to support that. And so I'm just trying to look at society and say, hey guys, like we can make candles that can be equally as good burning in your home, but they're made by someone with autism. And so there's just a lot more love behind that product than what you're buying at a store. You know what I mean? And so the other vocational activity I'm doing right now is we're trying to, so this is an automatic can crusher. And so we're having some family members just donate cans and we're crushing them up, we're storing them up, and then we take them to the local scrapyard and trade them in for money. And by doing that, we then now have more money for more wax for our candles, and just maybe have money that our individuals can access their community. So, movie tickets cost money, getting into the pool, the public pool costs a little bit of money. So, anything that we can do to generate some funds to kind of help us push our individuals out more into the community or help them gain access to a lifestyle that they want and prefer is my goal.
Right. That's entrepreneurship rather than charity. And
Exactly.
Right.
yeah.
That's what we're going for.
And I really appreciate that because there is a sense of fulfillment in being able to create. And we deny people with disabilities that fulfillment. No matter how simple the level of creativity is, there's a pride, and a sense of self-worth when you know that something's created because you made it. So,
oh yeah, right.
But two things came into my mind when you talked about being a behavior analyst. I was a teacher of the deaf. I had no experience with deafness before I went into it. I started out in speech pathology, which just led from a speech path training into having a field experience with children who were deaf, basically to teach them speech. And I did move the needle on that. But like you're saying, there's some kind of progressive idea that I think government programs and education have fostered, and that is we can teach kids out of their disability. And that's one of the justifications for early childhood if we catch them early enough. And I'm all for mitigating the intensity of what is disabling, but you never stop having to deal with it.
Right, exactly. Early intervention is the key. You're absolutely right. But it's not the end of it though.
I can remember audiologists saying to parents about cochlear implants, if we do this, your child will no longer be deaf. Well, that's not true. Your child will be deaf.
Right.
You will have this assistive device to help mitigate that. But if the battery dies, your child is deaf.
Right. Well, and that's what, like our earliest things that we did was I worked with people on their IEP meetings, and that's a huge struggle for parents, especially trying to keep emotions out of an IEP meeting because you're advocating for your child. I mean, there's nothing bigger than that. And so, but those days, this is where we've grown, and now we're at the next step. And what he's came up with is something that if you could just see, every day isn't a miraculous miracle.
Right.
Believe me, there's bad days. We have our bad days. We have our good days, but our good days are really great. And like he said, he's trying to get this to where they're not relied on charity and we're not relied on government assistance, but they're able to show a purpose. And what greater thing is to have purpose in life?
That's right. Well, and to appreciate the Creator, you want to talk about diversity. That was always the plan, and I think if there's anything that's supposed to come from our hearts in having family members who have challenges like this, it's that there's something more important than comfort.
Right.
And that is to meet the challenge. So
right, and he's came up with some very unique ideas. He's thought outside the box, which I always, as a parent of autism, you have to think outside the box. Nothing's normal, is what the quote unquote normal. So he's thought outside the box. We've tried a few different things. He's tried copper, stripping wire, certain things, and a lot of these things are OCD driven, like the smashing of the cans. Talk about autism kids love this. It's a really cool thing to watch.
Yeah,
they love the crunching and the smashing of cans.
Yes.
So I think my next step with that was just trying to could I touch base with like a local grocery store and put a like a trash bin and spray paint it blue or something like that and put the puzzle piece on there or something like that and maybe our logo, and people can just drop off their cans there, and then we could just and then they would just be that'd be kind of some steady funding that we could use, that really we're not asking, like I said, we're not asking for charity, we're just asking for people's trash.
Right.
We're asking for people's trash, and then if you wouldn't mind and buying a candle, that would just mean the world to some of these folks. And so I think that'd just be, in comparison to, throwing your trash in the garbage and buying them from, where people don't even touch the candles. It's all machine poured and it's petroleum wax. We use high grade, honeybee wax and stuff like that. So that's something that we're always proud of too, because our candles burn a really long time, almost longer than some of those store-bought candles you're going to buy. We've compared them and tested those a couple of times, and it's kind of funny to see. But so we're really proud of our candle product, and we're proud that we're taking cans and aluminum off the streets and out of the burn piles or the dump piles, and getting them recycled. So
it's funny because Dalton has a occupational therapist, and she was having trouble reaching, getting. The hardest part is to get into their world and to get them to trust you. And I guess I was out of town, but Jarod was there, and he had his candle thing set up, and she had trouble talking with Dalton, and Dalton comes out of the room, sees the candle, pours the candle, and walks away. And she's like, how in the world did you get him to do that? Well, it's all sensory driven. Everything's sensory driven. So these are just, like I said, thinking outside the box for a positive. Man, I love it.
So
I
how
love
do you
it.
market your product? Do you go to?
That's where
Go ahead.
that's the next step. That's what we're looking for. We need ideas. We need some entrepreneurs to jump on board with us and show us the way.
Yeah.
So let me
Yeah,
kind of
right now-
help a little bit. Let me help a little bit. So I had 26 pharmacies, all independent pharmacies in Southwest Missouri. I've sold them all, but I have a lot of friends that own pharmacies, and pharmacies are a good place to sell candles. And I could probably help you. So one of the things that I think is really good that you're sharing this today is that we've got people from all 50 states watching this. And the idea that you have of keeping these autistic children, these young people busy, and they're talented, you just have to find things that they can do, and they can do these things very well. Make candles. You probably are going to have a sample candle that you can send. Maybe if I had some candles that I could take around to different friends of mine to have pharmacies,
Yeah.
let them see the candle. You figure out a price and things like that. I probably can get you some accounts. People that's watching
Wow.
this show today, pay attention to what these two gentlemen are saying, because you could do this. One of the great things about our show for over 4 years now, a lot of people have heard and seen what we're doing in Southwest Missouri, up in the Kansas City area, and now they can emulate that. They can replicate that in their own hometown. We have
Oh, yeah.
families and children with autism in all parts of our country. It's a major epidemic that we've got to deal with, and just the fact that you've got this small workshop. I will tell you that when I had my pharmacies, one of the things I had a large account with a workshop in Christian County. We had cassettes, little cassettes about that big, that held 2 weeks worth of medicine. And we sold those to over 100 nursing homes. And so all the medicine was in cassettes, but we had over 300 employees. A lot of my employees didn't like cleaning the cassettes. We used the cassettes over and over again. You just put a little plastic lid and container where the medicine holds. You take them out all the time and you keep replacing that. But the cassette has to be cleaned because you have to get the glue and the label off of it to put the next new label on. Did you know that the workshop, those boys and girls, young men and women, were better at cleaning my cassettes than my employees. and they were so proud.
I believe it.
They were so proud of what they did. They knew me by first name. As soon as I'd walk in, they'd say, "Mr. Lynn, come here. I want to show you what we're doing." And they would show me every time what they did. They were so proud of what they did. And they got paid to do that. And then we use those cassettes over and over again. Same way with the candles. I think this is an amazing thing that you guys are doing. And so we just need to, and hopefully somebody else will come up with an idea and they can contact us.
Well, one of the other ideas that we have is the transportation. Like I said, everything's sensory driven with these autistic people. That, like Dalton, he loves to go on rides. And so, like, if we had these pickup places, it would be a great vocational thing for him just to go and to drive, to pick things up. And what a great day to spend his, great way to spend his day, and productive.
But there's
and not
craft
only
fairs too. There's a whole network of craft fairs. Of course, you have to have a display booth and tables. But my daughter used to make jewelry. She still makes jewelry, but she now has a permanent storefront. But she started out selling her product through craft fairs. So I think.
Well, if you didn't catch his acronym for the, what's it called?
I See Love.
I See Love. No, that stands for?
The individualized, like, community, living, and vocational education. So kind of just encompasses those three domains we talked about previously, you know. And I just kind of want to reiterate that, like, to our listeners out there, that, you know, I'm not having my individuals come in and I'm not like working them from 8 to 4 or anything like that. It's really just like I intersperse these vocational skills, like we call it the pre-MAC principle. So basically you can ask somebody to do something they don't want to do, and then as a reward they can do something that they want to do. You know, just like we all go to work. You know, we go to work, we get our paycheck, and we get to spend that money on things that we want and to do and enjoy. So that's kind of what we do, like with Dalton. And for instance, like he loves going on car rides, and so hey man, looks like you want to go on a car ride to go get a snack or a treat. That's awesome. Let's do some work before we do that, you know. Right. So we have to we crush a bucket of cans, or we pour one candle, and then we head out and we go do our thing. And so, you know, it's kind of starting slow and then slowly working them up there. But I have another one of my individuals that just absolutely, like, I have to keep her away from the can crusher because she would do as many as I have for as long as I have them. And so
kind of a form of entertainment. Yeah.
Yeah, she loves it. And so they just don't have anything like that at home. And so she's just really excited to come over and work on that in the house. And it's kind of fun.
Yeah, eventually they'll probably get unionized.
So, hey, let me ask you that. Hey, Jarod, so the socialization skills, obviously, when we have an autistic child, many times they kind of stay alone. They don't communicate with others as well as others. And do you find that you have more than one working on candles or something at one time? Do you have more than one?
Right now, like my social stuff, I have to kind of set it up. I might ask 2 of my clients to meet me at a certain location or something like that. But because right now it's just me. I do work full time. Like I work for public schools right now. But so it's just me. So I only have 4 to 5 clients, and they vary in ages and what their focus on leisure skills are. So one of my friends just absolutely loves walking, and another one of my friends absolutely hates it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, okay, so how can I get those 2 to hang out? You know, that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to find friends that have similar leisure type preferences. You know, maybe 2 friends that love going to the pool. Okay, let's get them to go to the pool together. You know, that way they can both kind of either parallel hang out, or they can play with each other, like and hang out at the pool together. So it just really kind of like finding the friends that getting their preferences, getting understanding of their preferences, like all the things they like to do, and then working those into their life as many times as I can. You know what I mean? In comparison to working on life skills and the vocational skills. So I like to, if I have 3 sessions with a kid a month, I like to work on one of those 3 different things each time, or all 3 of those things in a single session. So it really kind of depends on the kid's motivation and what their skills are. So some of my friends were just introducing them to the can smasher. And so, I got a little a yellow X there to kind of show them where the button needs to be pushed and that kind of stuff. But after a while, I'll take that off and they'll use less and less, assistive technology and that kind of stuff. And hopefully they're more independent and ready to rock and roll when it comes to community.
Very individualized. Yes. Is what you're saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very individualized. Because, when you say autism, dude, it's so specific to that person's type of autism. I mean, that's where we really had struggles in the beginning because, like I said, the spectrum was so wide. But it's just like a snowflake. I mean, just like you and I are so different, so are they and their specific needs. Because it's not just, we were talking about this earlier, it's not with any person that has autism also has many underlying
I call them comorbidities. Like if a lot of people with autism deal with bowel movement issues, and so they're constantly seeing GI.
Mm-hmm.
Just make sure we froze up a little.
We froze. Oh, okay. Are you still hearing us?
Yeah, yes. We can hear you.
We froze.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Are we back? Sorry.
We froze there for a minute.
But, so what we were saying is that, like, they refer to them as comorbidities. Like, basically, a lot of people with autism, they deal with a lot of other stuff, too. So we were talking about, like, GI issues is a big one. A lot of people with autism have GI issues. We were just reading and doing some research about seizure activity. A lot of people with autism have seizure activity. that we were even talking about Tourette's. And stuff. And so
Yeah.
there's just so many things that we're dealing with on top of the autism that kind of sends, the people supporting them different signals. And so you really have to kind of just the experience, like you were talking about, like, I had never met a person with autism until I got a job. And then it like changed my life once I started getting some experience, and you could tell God put me where I was supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like it just came to me naturally. Like I knew what these individuals needed. I knew what they could use from me, and it all just came full circle. You know what I mean? But it's been an exciting journey for sure.
One of the things that I think you're going to find as you increase the number of students, the kids that you're putting in a workshop making candles or cans or whatever you're doing, is I noticed that the workshop in Christian County, they had 4 young people doing my cassettes, cleaning my cassettes. They actually became a team. And those 4 individuals became close friends and socialized really well, and actually just seemed to be normal functioning. And each of those teams that did different things kind of exhibited the same thing. So I think this is something that really will help autistic children. And I'm hoping that will keep expanding for you, because I think that's extremely important to happen.
Right. Well, you keep saying children, and yes, I agree with children, but these are adult. Especially after COVID. When COVID happened, everything shut down for us, and that's when all this we lost all of our supports. He stayed at home. We couldn't go do anything, and our whole world just fell apart.
Yes.
So we started all over. He came along. He had these ideas, and this has been wonderful to watch him do this. I think it's something that if anybody's out there looking for a purpose, this is a great purpose.
Yeah.
Do you have any
that's
interface with Centers for Independent Living?
So I've worked in group homes previously, and so that was one of my target populations. I thought that, hey, I could reach out to these group homes, and I could, because I don't have so right now I'm kind of working out of my garage. A couple of my clients will come over, hang out, and we closed it off. It's like an inside spot, but I've talked about reaching out to group homes, and that way I would like to almost have a big, a big food truck, but have all of our, utensils and all of our vocational activities and all that kind of stuff on there with us. And we drive it over there. We could even park it out front or right where they're at. They could come in, one at a time on the truck or whatever. And we could, produce some goods or, practice some leisure skills, like playing some video games or something like that, or board games in my little work truck. And then, because ultimately, I think that's my biggest. I would like to have a day hab facility for adults, with disabilities, and they could come and, hey, if there's a couple people working, great. If there's a couple people doing some leisure activities, great. If there's a couple people doing some life skills, great. But at least it's a place where they could go. Because right now, they just don't have a place to go. You know what I mean? Like there's no facility or there's no day hab in our area that services individuals like that, or that would be so purposeful in the servicing of individuals.
Right. It's a very unique idea.
Yeah.
So the money you're raising selling candles, metal recycling, aluminum recycling, things like that, is that going to this day rehab idea that you're trying to save money for?
So,
okay.
Right. Yeah. So we're not taking all money right now, all the hours that we're putting in for work and all of our materials and the cans are all going towards I'll call it our capital fund for, we're just trying to raise money that, hopefully that maybe if I get enough, I can reach out to, a bank and get a business loan and try to go at that point. I just don't know if we're as put together what we need, with the business plan and things like that. I'm working on that as well, but I just feel like, all that is I refer to it as red tape. And so I can actually go work with people in homes right now, and families are willing to pay out of pocket. They aren't even asking me to do, go through the state or anything like that. So, the families want it just as much as the kids do, just as much as I do, just as much as the community could need it. You know what I mean?
As a parent, I'm out of pocket. Go do it. Go do this. It's a wonderful idea.
So how do people find out more about you guys and what you're doing? How could they help you?
So right now, I'm in the process of building a Facebook page, and on that, I'm gonna have I'll have our little Venmo account. If anybody would be generous enough to throw some pennies, nickels, dimes, or Buffalo nickels, whatever people have, we're willing to utilize it and make good use of it.
And ideas.
Yeah, and ideas. Just with all of it. But I do have a Facebook page, and that's about the extent of my reach right now. Like I said, I think more so, I just wanted a voice on this platform to show people that, hey, you don't have to be even a BCBA. I feel like I use my skills that I've learned at school to do this. But like he said, just somebody that, was looking for purpose, somebody that has patience and doesn't mind doing some of this legwork and helping it. But this could be, this could happen in every city, every town, because if you shake that tree hard enough, somebody with disabilities close by, you just might not know it. You know what I mean? Right. And so you wouldn't believe, like you were talking about earlier, how universal this problem is. It's not like an East Coast problem or a West Coast problem. It's literally everywhere across all human population. The world.
Yeah. We just traveled to the Philippines, and at every airport on the way, and every person that we met, there was someone in the family that is dealing with this. Yeah. One in 34 now are have diagnosis on some form of autism. So it's epidemic. I mean, it's everywhere. Right. I mean, I guarantee everyone, you could sit down in any room and there'll be someone in there that's dealing what we're dealing with.
Right. So I think that, just that idea of, I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, the idea of where they can get the information was on the Facebook. He's just starting. Just starting with the information, and he's building the web page. And this is when Jim Whining came to us at a board meeting and suggested that we talk to you guys and get the word out there for this.
So when you get your web page done and you got a phone number or whatever, you need to give it to Jim, give it to us, and we'll make sure that it gets posted because this is a problem, just as you said, in every town, small, large, in this country and around the world. Right. This is a problem, and we have to deal with it. And we can make some advances. I think they've made a lot of advances. I'm interested in seeing what the Secretary of Health Kennedy can do with autism and all kinds of disease states for young people and older folks too.
Right. He was when Dalton was first diagnosed with autism. As Mr. Kennedy, he had came out with a paper about the vaccines. I don't want to get into all that, but he was one of the first papers that I read, and so I'm a huge fan of his.
Yeah, you realize his I believe it was his aunt, because it was John Kennedy's sister had a challenge. I can't really say what it was, because they say that it was a cognitive disability, but who knows what the whole constellation of issues were.
And back in the 50s.
Special Olympics is headed by one of the Kennedys. And and there's another organization called CASTLE for Social Emotional Learning that has Shriver. So he was one of the Kennedy relatives who stays committed to helping people with special needs in the community, keeping it in the forefront of people's minds that this is a community-wide issue, not just family secrets. And I think it was the Kennedys that helped bring that out, because they were
right.
Go ahead.
It's the same thing with the medications that we use. They're so individualized that everyone's on different medications and stuff. And American Shaman has really came through with the CBD uses for autism. They're wonderful. They've really helped him a lot. So, but I'm not saying that's for everybody. It's individualized. It works for him. It doesn't work for everyone. But we'll find companies, any company that would like to donate a truck, anything that would that could benefit the equipment, the funding, the ideas for jobs, where we could put this in place would be an amazing purpose for these kids and adults.
We'll try to have you back on again, kind of follow your progress and make sure that people know. I'm going to take a break and we're going to talk about two sponsors that make this show possible. And then we're going to come back and give you guys the last word, okay? So that's how fast our show goes. But we have two sponsors. The first one is Brad Pistow. He's a certified fiduciary financial planner. I use him, my family, lots of friends, business friends. We just have a lot of people that use him. And he is located in Ozark, Missouri. And I know people are saying, well, I'm not in Missouri. I'm in Kansas. I'm in Texas. I'm in someplace else. That's okay. He's licensed in multiple states. He has associates in all 50 states. He contributes to Wall Street Journal. He contributes to USA Today. He speaks nationally all over the country. He's got 2 books, best-selling retirement books. One called Safe Money Matters. The other book is called Bulletproof. And he can give you one of those free books and give you information. All you have to do is call 417-581-9222. 417-581-9222. You won't be disappointed. He always has plans that you will run out of life way before you run out of money. And that's a big worry for a lot of people. So I highly recommend Brad Pistow, Trinity Insurance Financial Services. Our other sponsor is John Whittaker. He owns Springfield Nissan, Springfield Kia in Springfield, Missouri. Used to be called Youngblood Motor Group, and they used to sell Jeeps and all kinds of Rams and all kinds of things. Now they specialize in Nissans and Kias. They have tremendous customer service, tremendous skills in working on those cars. They're located on South Campbell in Springfield, Missouri. You can call them 417-882-3838, 417-882-3838. Aaron Swanson is the general manager. He and his sales force will take care of you. I'm getting ready to buy my 3rd car from these guys and looking at one of their SUVs, Tellurides. So the last 2 cars I bought was Jeep Grand Cherokee Summits, top of the line. Now I'm looking at a Telluride. So honestly, if you want to buy a used car, I highly recommend buying used cars, low mileage. If you can do that, they have tremendous cars that are certified. That means that they've gone through over 100 inspection points. When you drive that car off the road, it's going to last a long time before you have any problems. So these are our 2 sponsors. They highly help us in many, many things and help other people. And so we highly recommend those 2 people. Okay, now we're back with you guys. What's the last thing or 2 that we need to know about Autism Awareness Fellowship, what you guys are trying to do?
I think everybody, we always push for awareness, and I think the awareness often gets misconstrued. I think the awareness is just kind of be open. If you see somebody in the public who's struggling, you can offer support or just give them space to kind of navigate the situation themselves, I think. But acting like they don't exist, I think it's just got to be hurtful. You know what I mean? So I think, just wave in, even if they don't wave back, just show individuals with autism that the community cares about them, that they want them there, that, hey, if there's a piece of assistive technology like a wheelchair that I could get over to a vehicle for a parent and family, that would be really helpful rather than navigating across the parking lot. You know what I mean? So just kind of keep your eyes up, look around. You'll see some individuals, and just even again, say hi, invite them to things. I just think like just being open and being aware that it's socialization is what they need, and just purpose and enriched lifestyles, things that we all kind of take for granted, I think, sometimes. And so I think just remembering that we do that, and remembering that other people just need opportunity. And so if you got a couple extra bucks, you got a couple extra hours you could spend. There's lots of volunteer things, especially with special education or Special Olympics. You know what I mean? There's tons of ways to get involved, and that's just really what these humans need, or other humans.
If you have never been to a Special Olympics event, I cannot recommend it highly enough. Just to go there and cheer for the kids when they get their trophy. Bring your sunglasses.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I've got a granddaughter that's born with a shadow on a chromosome, whatever that means, and the Special Olympics, we've been involved with that with her. I'm also thinking about Paralympics for seniors. For me, I lost my foot and leg from a brown recluse spider. Got a little gangrene going on and had to have amputation. So I've got my own ministry started trying to help people just like me. So I would say, Jarod, you're right. Kindness and understanding, trying to figure, how you can help those people. They are good people, and we can make their life better, and then they can help us make our life better. I really believe that. I really believe that.
It's all about purpose.
You guys are difference makers. We're going to have to go. But Jarod, you are a super difference maker. Jim, you are too. People out there continue to do things good for other people, and we'll be a better country for it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on.
And keep Jim posted on what's going on, and we'll get an update from time to time. Okay. We'll pray for you guys.
Nice meeting you, Mary.
We'll pray for Dalton. Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you
We'll
for
see you
joining
guys
us
next week. We'll be on next week, and hope everyone have the rest of a great week. Okay. Thank you.
It's plain to see. We're showing the whole world what a country should